Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More. Here we are live. This is what I call an impromptu show because I wanted everybody to be together and everybody to meet each other. I have my good friend Michael Szymanski. Michael I've known from, oh my God, he used to teach journalism at UCLA, which were really, really fun classes. USA Today. He used to write for Tribune Media, Zaptoit.com. This is all off the top of my head. I always admired you, always respected you, and I always wanted to come in. And when I was there, I needed something, he was there. We have Roxy from G.L.O.W. Glorious Ladies of Wrestling.
Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. We are glorious, but gorgeous ladies.
Well, that too.
Okay.
I won't argue with that.
Just want to make sure you get it right.
Yes, and we have a friend of ours, a newfound friend who we had never met before.
A very good friend of mine.
And
the Glow Girls is Jennair, the famous Jennair who does all the artwork for the Glow Girls. He's very popular with the girls.
And he's got great sketches. He did this sketch of of us, and I wanted to have him on. And he's deaf, doesn't matter to me, but I admire him. He's a great-looking guy, and he has a great fan base. And I think it's important that he can come on and just sketch us why he's here.
Right. I think, he's amazing. Actually, I'm a big fan of Jennair's.
Yes, and he's a big fan of yours, too.
I know, isn't that crazy?
And then we have, all the way from Sweden. Switzerland. I'm sorry. Just off the top of my head. I'm doing everything off the top of my head. Korinna, how do you pronounce your last name? I'm sorry.
Korinna Sehringer.
Sehringer.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason why I wanted to have her on because Annie G's and Debbie Lynn Elias from movie Shark de Bloor said we had to have you on. And your movie is Shouting Secrets. And the most important thing is female. I'm all about empowering women. I really, really love to do that. And if it weren't for Debbie and if it weren't for Annie Jeeves, we wouldn't have you here. So I'm very honored to have you here.
Thank you
so,
very much.
Debbie's going to be calling in, and actually she's calling in now. So I'm going to leave this up to her. Debbie, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, good. This is Debbie Lynn Elias from movie Shark de Bloor. Debbie, we're going to be talking about the week's movies coming up and why we have her here today talking about Shouting Secrets. Take it away.
Well, let's start with my favorite pick of the week, which is a film called My Old Lady with Kevin Kline, Maggie Smith, and Kristen Scott Thomas. It is the charmer of the week. It is based on a play by Israel Horovitz, who now is writing and directing the feature film. Set in Paris, it is a delight. It is light. It is beautiful. You will fall in love. It is an American writer who's poor and impoverished, who inherits an apartment in Paris from his father. And when he shows up there's an old lady living there. And under French law, it's allowable and legal. So that's a whole lot of fun when you get Kevin Kline and Maggie Smith together.
And that was a great movie. I really enjoyed that. Mike, have you seen that yet?
I have not, no.
Good. Continue, Deb.
Oh, my God. It's an amazing, amazing movie, and it really is my personal pick. And especially after we just talked about Kevin Kline and The Last of Robin Hood the other week, where he plays an aging Errol Flynn. So they're actually a great double feature blend if you can find them together. We've got some other small ones coming out this week. The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby by Ned Benson. It's part of a trilogy. This one is Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby, a.k.a. Them. There are two other films, Her and Him, all-star James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain. Interesting concept on relationships, the development of this couple. They come together, they fall apart, the tribulations of life. Eleanor Rigby opens this week. October 10th, the companion films Him and Her will open. So that should be interesting to see this progress. We've also got this week, it's not in L.A., I have to give a shout-out, it's only opening in New York, Archaeology of a Woman, starring my friend Sally Kirkland.
Yep.
My friend too.
She has gotten rave reviews in it. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to see the film yet, as Brian knows, because the publicist doesn't want anybody outside of New York seeing it yet.
And I think we're going to change that. Michael knows her, too.
It's getting rave reviews. It's getting amazing reviews.
We need to get that changed.
And again, another woman wanting to do something, to get out there, to create something out of her own. We need to make that happen.
So, and then we've also got, we have some really good thrillers this week. We have The Drop, James Gandolfini's final film. I fully expect to see some kind of posthumous Best Supporting Actor Oscar push for this. Stars with Tom Hardy. Written by Dennis Lehane, great crime novelist based on a short of his. Organized crime, Chechen mobsters, money laundering in an icy, cold, gray, wintry New York. You get the picture, and the performances are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Also, jumping in on thriller, terror, and suspense, we have No Good Deed with Taraji P. Henson and Idris Elba.
And you really like that movie.
I love this film, and I love it on multiple levels. I love it for the performances, which is essentially Taraji and Idris. There is a great supporting cast with Leslie Bibb, Kate Del Castillo, and Henry Simmons. But it's Taraji and Idris who carry this film. Can't say too much about it because there are major twists and surprises in there. Needless to say, she is a mother. She has 2 small children. Her husband is away on business, and this handsome, good-looking stranger shows up at her door, bleeding from his head after a car accident, and wants to use a phone. And it goes from there. The real beauty of No Good Deed is the technical aspect. Director Sam Miller pulled out a Sony F camera, which, as people are going to find out, it allows filmmakers to shoot night for night. So instead of shooting in the daytime and having to darken everything with shading, you actually can shoot at night with no additional lighting. So when you're shooting in the middle of a thunderstorm, in the dark woods in Atlanta, Georgia, this is perfect. And it really helps fuel the suspense within the film. Then we've also got Honeymoon, which is a really unique thriller, terrorizer, gives new meaning to marriage is hell. Here it just starts with hell starts at the honeymoon. Wonderful couple, performances by Rose Leslie. You probably know her best from Game of Thrones or Downton Abbey.
Absolutely.
Harry Treadaway, who is causing major buzz with his performance as Victor Frankenstein in Penny Dreadful. Written and directed by Lee Janiak. This is one of the first times I think I've encountered a female quote-unquote horror genre screenwriter. She does an amazing job. Here again, the film is shot primarily within a small confined space. Everything is virtually handheld. And the story, again, can't give out. There's some great twists in here. But her sound design is impeccable and plays an integral part of building the terror and suspense in Honeymoon. It is a honeymoon that nobody will ever forget if they go on it.
I heard nothing but good things about this, too. I'm not sure in the marketing on it. I wish it was done a lot better.
Yeah, there's not, and that's something you got to talk to Magnolia and Magnet about because they're the distributor. But I think this film deserves a lot more attention than it's getting. And then we have the wonderful Shouting Secrets with my friend Korinna Sehringer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful film. And it has an interesting backstory that I will let Korinna tell you all about. This is set in the Native American culture. It is a universal theme and story about family, about love, about growing up, growing old. Very heartwarming. You do need tissues when you watch this movie. An incredible cast, starting with Tyler Christopher, one of daytime's most popular actors in General Hospital. And then Native American community, we've got Tantu Cardinal, who dances with wolves. Rodney A. Grant, Gil Cunningham. Wonderful, wonderful cast.
And
I'll let Korinna get into that.
It's a great cast.
But before I go, Brian, I have to mention a very special interview I got to do this morning, very angelic interview with none other than one of Charlie's best angels, Cheryl Ladd, who has a film coming out on DVD. It's a faith-based film. It's very inspirational. It's called The Perfect Wave. It is shot all over the world, directed by Bruce McDonald, and it's all about love of a mother, love of a son, love of God, and the power of prayer in survival. And it's based on a true story, which is just an amazing, amazing story of Ian McCormick, who is now a pastor, who was a one-time hotshot punk surf kid, and who had a life-death experience. So it's really beautiful, and Cheryl just soars in it, and she's very open about coming into the project because of her faith, and it plays a very big part in her life. It always has. And my interview with Cheryl will be out later this week in time for the DVD review.
Good. Appreciate that. I've got to see Honeymoon. I've definitely got to see that. I've heard nothing but good things about this movie. Debbie, you've got a bunch of things coming up, which I guess we'll have to talk about next time around. Some of the things you can't talk about, unfortunately, but that's the good thing about you. You're getting all these scoops ahead of everybody, and sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. It's just a matter of the timing of that. But no matter what, you're getting them. You deserve to have them, and good for you.
And we will bring them all to Movie Reviews and More.
All right, that's Debbie Lynn Elias, moviesharkdeblore.com.
And I will be in studio with you next week.
Absolutely.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Rena, let's go into, how did you make this movie? Because this is important. I think this has been one of the first years in a long time that we've had a lot of female directors, and I think that's great. And if you look at Hollywood, there's not enough of them. Why do you think that is?
I think to this day, men are being taken more seriously in terms of, oh yeah, he can do that, he can pull that off, he's got the authority, or I don't know what it is. Or then maybe the women not being self-centered or self-secure enough to say, hey, I'm just good enough to do this just as good as all the other male colleagues. I don't know why it is. It really never mattered to me. I never looked at it, I'm a woman and therefore I have to do things different, or not at all. I just had the passion to make movies. I wanted to make movies, and I didn't think about the rest. On the set, I experienced some difficulties because I was a woman.
Yeah, of course.
But before that, I never thought about it. Just wanted to make movies.
I'm wondering if there is Mike, if there is a difference in acceptance for a female director in Europe as opposed to the U.S.
I wouldn't really know. It might be, but I haven't worked too much as a director in Europe, so I can't really talk firsthand. But I could imagine that is the case. I mean, also you have a different way of funding movies. Here, everyone is like, this needs to make money. This needs, return the investment and so forth. And then you go with the old. I don't know how you say thing of formula. Oh, a guy can do this job well and we're safe, versus in Europe maybe, with the film funds, it just has to be, a good movie, but it doesn't necessarily need to make the money back, or I don't know.
Now, I have a question. You said this was a passion. Is this something you've been working on for a long time?
For years.
Okay.
For years,
because I saw that in your eyes when you're like, this is I got it. I totally got that.
Thanks, yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I started my film production company 7 years ago.
Wow.
After I had spent many years in advertising. And it took us, this is our fourth project, 3 projects we worked on, developed each for at least 9 months.
Wow.
And then it fell apart. Because there was always someone who could pull the rug from underneath us. And then after that experience, we're like, okay, screw this. From now on, we're going to hire a writer and have our own, everything is starting from our company, and we hire the people and we own everything, and no one can say this isn't going anywhere.
Good for you.
Korinna and I were talking in the green room earlier that even getting a movie out is so hard these days, and this one is now out and anyone can see it. But even how you get the word out, and the fact that this is an all Native American cast, which is very different. It's not the reason why you should see it, because it sounds like it's a very very family heartfelt story, whether it's Native American or not. But the fact that she has won awards in specifically Native American film festivals and things like that, and she doesn't look Native American in the least.
I am Native American. I'm a Pequot Indian, so I get it. No, it's Debbie, Mike, even myself, we like filmmakers like that. I mean, you guys work your asses off to get this stuff done, and it's hard to get people to come see it. It's hard to go and find it. It's hard for whoever may buy it. That sometimes they just don't know how to market it.
But the weird thing is that I was very fed up with Hollywood just looking at the cover and going, "Oh, it's a drama. It's not going to sell." I mean, okay. So I just walked into a theater in Arizona and I said, "Will you show this for a week?" And he said, "Well, it looks interesting. And what do you have in mind?" And we didn't talk about any of this four-walling stuff that no filmmaker can really afford.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, we'll make 50-50 and before we cover some expenses. And you know what? It was nothing but word of mouth advertising because all I had was 10 posters.
Good for you.
10 posters. And we sold out every night for 2 weeks straight.
That's very inspiring.
And, the theater owner, he was so happy. He said, "This never happens in my theater. And this is amazing. I can't go anywhere in town without people talking about this movie. I would love to have it longer. And you should go to the theater 50 mile north and 50 mile east." And, I should have really done that. But if you're a one-woman show, you can only take on so much.
Well, a lot of us are one-woman shows.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
It's
she's
just then
doing the same
impossible
thing.
to get it really out in a wide way because you can't handle all of this alone. It's not possible.
But I think we can. We almost can.
Well, yeah. Well, we're going to come back. We're going to come back and talk about more movies, more of Shouting Secrets, more of what Mike's been up to and what Roxy's up to. And I see Gennard roaring
Gennair's
over
up
here.
too. He's, yeah.
This is Brian Sebastian. You're listening and watching Movie Reviews and More. We'll be right back. All right, this is Brian Sebastian. You're listening and watching the Movie Reviews and More live. We have a great crowd today, actually. I never know who we're going to have, even though I do know who we're going to have. But it's funny. Debbie Lynn Elias just talked about what was coming out for this week. Mike has something else to talk about something that's coming out next week that he saw, plus with Toronto Film Festival stuff coming up. Roxy is here. She's going to talk about GLOW.
AfterGLOW. The Afterglow.
The Afterglow. Yes. And Korinna, we were just talking to her about, Shouting Secrets. Where in Arizona was that town?
That was G.L.O.W, Arizona. That was like 2 hours east of Phoenix.
Okay. What made you go there, though?
Well, the reservation we shot on, the San Carlos Apache reservation, is right next to it.
Yeah.
So I thought that would be an ideal start for the movie to come out. And it was really interesting because the first night it was like 97% white folks from G.L.O.W, Arizona.
Interesting.
And 3% Apaches.
Where are all the black people at?
There weren't too many.
Any.
No, that's a redneck town there.
I know.
And then the next morning I read on Facebook that people are like standing in line in front of someone's store to get tickets, and it was 97%
As a filmmaker,
Apaches.
isn't that fun, though?
Oh my God, it was such a relief.
You must have been like saying, the hell with you people, this is what my movie has done in this town, so next time you give me some money.
Actually, not what I thought. I was just really tremendously relieved that people really loved the movie and recommend it and show up. Actually, I was really deadly afraid I would be there with my stars in front of an empty theater.
That's scary.
Was it hard to get permission to shoot on a reservation?
Yeah, it was very challenging. Like in G.L.O.W itself, it took me one Sunday morning meeting with the mayor, and everything was signed basically, and they were very supportive and very helpful. And on the reservation, it took at least 8 or 10 weeks.
Wow.
The processing, the finding the right person. They were afraid that they could be misrepresented. They were even more afraid that it's one more Hollywood person. And I mean, I'm from Switzerland, but I live in Los Angeles. They were afraid that it would be one more Hollywood person that shows up on a reservation and wants the movie funded by their casino, or something like that. Well, that's a very poor reservation. They should use their own money for their own things, and so I never went there to ask for a dime, but that was an obstacle to overcome, that they were really afraid that there's another filmmaker that wants money from us or use our land or, So it took a while, but once they did say yes, they were super supportive, super sweet. I mean, if we would shoot late at night, someone in the neighborhood would come up with soup and
nice.
fry bread, and I mean, they were really, really kind.
Talk about the score and the shooting of the train sequence.
The score?
Yep. Scores in films are important.
Well, I had first a composer, and he scored the whole movie, and I just could not warm up to it. He's a great composer, you know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him or his music. It just didn't fit this movie, and I didn't feel it. And then I decided to start from scratch with a lot of things on this movie, and one of them was the composers. And I found wonderful Lisbeth Scott, who is a singer-songwriter, has done songs for Avatar and big movies, and also has her own, you know, CDs. Beautiful voice, beautiful person. And Matthias Weber, who just actually won the German Academy Award for Best Composer. And both of them loved the movie, and they said, okay, we'll do it for a fraction of our usual salary.
Good for you.
And working with them for like a month, day and night, because there was this one festival that really wanted a movie, and I had scheduled 3 months, and then it had to be done all in 1 month. And I asked them, do you think you could do it? And they were like, Korinna, we'll do it for you. And it turned into like day and night sessions, but it was very fulfilling and very creative, and that was probably one of the best parts of the whole 5-year endeavor. And what was the other question?
The train sequence.
Oh, the train sequence? You must have heard something.
I won't say.
Well, you know, for me, the train sequence stands for indie filmmaking because of the unpredictability of indie filmmaking, that you never know what you get yourself into, even if you go with the best of intentions. So I really wanted to have a shot of one of these huge freight trains that cross the desert, and of course I couldn't afford to, you know, have them ship one in and drive back and forth. So my intention was, when I would hear a whistle, I'd have like a camera crew and myself run over there and just, you know, steal the shot, basically.
Good for you. That's how you do it.
That's smart.
Well, it's the only way you can really do it, you know. So one day we finally hear that whistle. I'm like, okay, let's run. And we ran to the tracks, and we put up the camera just in time. I mean, like 3 feet away from the tracks or something like that, really close. And this massive train comes towards us, and he's pulling his horn, or whatever you call it, and we're all waving at him and all happy, and we're thinking he's happy to see us too. I mean, there's not too many people in the desert. And well, we couldn't have been any more wrong, because it just so happened that unfortunately there had been an accident, and some of the top guys from the train company from Washington D.C. was in this tiny small town to investigate the accident.
Wow.
And 2 hours later he showed up in our editing room and was very furious, and he said that he had pictures. The train conductor had taken pictures of every one of the crew that was surrounding the train, and he said he could arrest each and every one of us on at least 4 counts of all kinds of different things, like against terrorism law, because we're shooting, you know, this train, or we're too close, and I mean, there's all these things. And also there was atomic waste on the train, and we shot exactly that train. Wow. So I took my poor line producer. It took him two hours in the editing suite to convince him that we really just wanted to shoot this beautiful train, and you know, I had no bad intentions. And after 2 hours, this guy walked out and said, well, you know, let me know if you need anything else, and if I can help you with anything else. And you know, it just stands for me so much for independent filmmaking.
Yeah, good for independent.
Good for you, yeah.
I like that story. That was good.
Mike, what have you been up to?
Well, going to movies and looking for work, obviously. It's hard hard to find.
The whole realm of things have changed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, my friend, the late Roger Ebert, told me long time ago that the internet was going to kill movie criticism as far as professionals go, and now that everybody can put up a blog and a website, those of us who are professionals find it a little bit more difficult. But we're still on screening lists, so that's good.
And that's a good thing. Better to be on that list than not to be on any list.
Right.
Talk about Toronto. Talk about a couple movies that you have seen.
I'm really excited about my friend Wash Westmoreland and Richard Glatzer, who they were mentioning the Last Days of Robin Hood. They did that one, but they also, Wash debuted Still Alice with Julianne Moore.
That was in Toronto.
Yeah. And today it got sold to Sony Pictures.
She's getting good buzz from that.
Yeah, I think she won a Best Actress award or something like that, and Wash and Richard won something. Richard is very ill with ALS, which is sad, and she did the bucket thing for him, and I did the bucket thing for him. He's the only person I know with it, but he's suffering from that, but has been trying to make the rounds with Wash when he can. He didn't go to Toronto, but that's really exciting to see, again, another independent film that is doing really, they started with The Fluffer way back, which I actually have a cameo in.
I remember that.
Yeah, and part of it was filmed in our pool, so so we go way back to those days, and it's great to see that they're working with Julianne Moore and Susan Sarandon and Kevin Kline and people like that now.
Talk about when you used to teach at UCLA, because that was fun.
I haven't taught for a year or so, but I have a basic journalism class, and then also I was teaching entertainment writing, and have sometimes very unique guests, like Sally Kirkland's come to speak, and you have as well, and so it's always fun to have things like that, because people can do research on the people that they're coming in, and then try to do a story about them. But it gets a little crazy and controversial, especially when you have people like Sally, who challenged a lot of them, and almost stripped.
But that's fun. That's great.
Yeah. It's good, but unfortunately I tell people that you might as well learn linotype, because a career in journalism will get you as much work as that would get you, and it just is really hard to find a good job for good journalists these days. And you remember the days that we used to sit at a table like this with the celebrities, with people like Robin Williams and stuff like that. Those days are gone. Now it's giant press conferences, and
I hate those
and they
things.
even pass out the pre-edited interviews to give us. But there were days that I know you and I we'd sit down in a small group like this, and we'd have Robin Williams for 20 minutes and things like that. And I didn't realize the day after he died, I listened to a lot of my past tapes, and
we have a lot of dead celebrity archived interviews now, which is not fun.
But I go back to talking to him like way back when he came to speak at our college campus way back in the University of Florida, and then I remember talking about the ups and downs with him, when he went in and out of rehab and different wives, if you recall, and he was always honest.
Always honest.
One of the hardest interviews, because he was always on, but honest as well.
Yeah. Roxy.
You want me to talk about Glow or the AfterGLOW, or
I want you to talk about it all.
I want to know how did you discover?
Okay, I'm going to tell you how we met.
Yeah.
I was at a party. Do I tell the real story?
We went to David Bernolini's house.
Here we go. Yeah, who did Linda Lovelace, Deep Throat, and he's a friend of mine.
Friend of mine too.
You know David? Were you at that party?
I was at a party recently, but
that party. I know which party. So, I was sitting there talking. I think I actually I was talking to Victor.
Yep.
And we mentioned something about Glow. Now,
and then Victor went crazy.
Yeah, he went nuts because he's into the. I don't want to say like old time. I don't want to say old, from the 80s. Anyways, VHSs. He's into that, and he's a young kid. He's 23. So I mentioned Glow. I don't know. Have you heard of Glow? Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Yeah. Yes.
Jacqueline Stallone was our manager. We were the first girls to kind of open the door, and I have to say this, to the divas of wrestling. So we opened the door. And we had girls from all shapes and sizes, all walks of life. And the funny thing is, so Victor heard the word glow and he went nuts. And I don't know if you've even heard of it. Some people are like, I never watch wrestling. Well, I didn't either. And I never acted. I mean, I didn't do any of that. I just wanted a job, and I tried out, and I ended up becoming one of the top characters in Glow. Okay, and so we were at this party, and then you actually... Did you know about Glow? Me. Was I bothering you?
I knew about Glow. I knew. She's laughing.
Oh, you were just playing like, yeah, right?
I was watching Grease.
Well, you were?
Yeah.
Well, this was more important.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, so, that's how we became friends.
Right. Yeah. And then we went to the pool party where the guy had the...
Yeah.
Okay.
And she started talking about this, and I said, this is interesting. We could do that.
Uh-huh. So I came up with, everybody has been trying to revive Glow. Nobody wants to see 40-something, 50-something-year-old women wrestling. It's just, to me, it's kind of sad and pathetic. So I thought, okay, these girls are really cool characters. We all have our own careers, and I've had a dream that I've always wanted to do something, the AfterGLOW, like what happened after Glow. There was a famous documentary, Glow the documentary. Do you remember that? It won the Tribeca Award. I think it won something at the Comic-Con. It did really well, and it kind of lightly tapped on what happened to the girls afterwards, but it just kind of put a halt to it and didn't really go deep into it. And what happened to us, a lot of the girls after Glow, nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
That was our job. I mean, we would get our little paycheck and, party in Vegas, woohoo, and, we're filming and, there was no internet. So that was our job. And then all of a sudden it was gone. And the girls had no idea what to do, after Glow. But we all kept in contact. So thank goodness for Facebook. Mm-hmm. We're all in contact. And that's where I met Jenner, the famous Jenner. We met him because he's been drawing the Glow girls and other characters for the last, might be 2 or 3 years. So every once in a while there'd be a new cartoon of me. And there was a new one of what would Roxy look like if she was in POW and WWE and all that. So it was kind of like Christmas. And every time I turned on my computer, I had a new cartoon. And then the girls were kind of fighting over, like, why do you got more cartoons than I have? So we're all kind of like fighting over him, but I got him. I got him.
Yeah, and he's drawing, he's sketching things
amazing.
As we're here. Yeah. And I love his stuff.
Yes, it's amazing. Wait, that one was, who's that? That's me.
All right, we're going to come back and talk about some movies when we come back. Okay, he's drawing me. Where's the white version of me? I want to be the white guy.
That is a white version.
This is Brian Sebastian. You're listening to Movie Reviews and More. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Brian Sebastian. You're listening to us live on Adrenaline Radio. Mike Szymanski is here. Roxy is here. Janar is here. Korinna is here. And, she was just talking about something for Shouting Secrets. Where can you get this? How do you get this?
Well, you can either get it on DVD with all like the special features, and the DVD you can only get off the ShoutingSecretsMovie.com website.
Okay.
And that's the only place that sells DVDs, ShoutingSecretsMovie.com. And then you can get it on iTunes and on Amazon in video on demand form.
Good. Did you have a problem getting it on video on demand? How'd that happen for you?
Well, I interviewed with several distributors, and it just, none of them seemed like a really good solution to me. Because if you work with smaller distributors, you can almost be certain that you will end up never seeing a dime, and also spend a lot of money on deliverables. So then I figured I've done everything on my own with this movie. I can finish this up too, kind of on my own. And I did work at the end with Bitmax, which has contracts with iTunes, and they are content. They look for content, and with them it wasn't complicated at all. You got other ones, big ones like Cinedime, and it seemed like this big deal of even getting in, and then it wasn't even sure it was going to be on iTunes, and with Bitmax was actually a really really nice, easygoing, very straightforward.
So you were happy with
deal.
them?
I was very happy with Bitmax.
Good.
And they were really nice about explaining everything in the contract. There was nothing seemed hidden or tricky or nothing like that. So I did the video on demand through Bitmax, and then the DVD from our own website, shoutingsecretsmovie.com.
Now, Roxy, you did Kickstarter. Talk about the experience, because you had never done that before, obviously. Talk about what happened.
I took a few crowdfunding seminars and still had no clue. I just knew that if I wanted to do the show, the AfterGLOW show is going to be October 25th at the ACME Comedy Theater. And the whole thing is I wanted to do the Kickstarter to build the hype up on Facebook and just to get it going. And it was, and I think you kind of took the ride with me, didn't you? Because you were watching every time somebody was pledging, and it was crazy. We were like halfway there, and I only asked for $5,000. That's a very low budget. That's like nothing, and some of your pledges will even drop. And
which I didn't know.
Yeah, I thought once they did it, that was it. So I only asked for $5,000, and if you don't meet your goal on that date, you don't get the money. And that was my whole thing. If I could not raise the funds the way I wanted to, and this is a small show, just to kind of get started, I didn't want to do it. So it was the last 2 days that we actually raised the money, thanks to somebody who gave a good pledge. He kind of saved the show. Again, I don't know if you want, but he saved the show. And after that pledge, everybody brought it to the finish line.
Yes, exactly.
They were going nuts, and they were like, rally for Roxy. And I'm thinking, it's not for me, it's for the whole group. I don't want it to be about me. And that just kind of kicked everybody in to start giving their last, I'm grabbing money from my housekeeper, I'm grabbing money from there. I go, well, no, don't do anything illegal. So, but we raised the money. We raised the money at the last minute. And you kept telling me, bring it home. And I did bring it home. And I was annoying, wasn't I, on Facebook?
No, you were very, very good, because it was good to see that, because I had never seen anybody experience it, and I had just talked to Zach Rapp about how he did his, raising $46,000 and
But you gave me a little bit of, you told me to watch that, and I did, and that's how I based my Kickstarter on what you told me.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. It's hard enough for filmmakers, never mind women filmmakers, who they don't even respect, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought black people had it bad. No, you women have it worse than us sometimes.
Well, even before we talk about, getting the movie out like Korinna's doing, but even starting it now, even the Kickstarter campaigns, you're competing with Zach Braff and James Franco and people who have names, which is so unfair.
Well, the thing is, too, I thought, because we had millions of fans, millions. So I kind of took, these people are going to donate $1. It wasn't like that. It was a real wake-up call. I thought, I'm just going to have the money the next day. No, reality was like, not at all. I'm on there asking, okay, this is what we're going to do.
You're working your ass off.
It wasn't like that at all. And I kept even, he was my soundboard sometimes. I go, come on, Brian, what's going on? I even met with you, and he gave me more ideas. And I think kind of talking to you.
And you know what I wanted in return?
I
had to have my apple pie.
So I took him to Marie Callender's. He had his apple pie. I kept my word. So, and we funded, and so now that's how the AfterGLOW fan party came about. And it's going to be all 12, 13 girls on stage, live Q&A. And we're going to pick up basically where I think the documentary left off. And you're going to get to know the real us. And each girl gets to talk about what they're doing, not as a wrestler, but as, who they are now and what's been going on in the last 25 years.
And that's fun.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And there's a big, huge gay audience, too, which I was not sure about.
Yeah. I think RuPaul actually mentioned us on his show. We were on Married with Children, so a lot of people would say the Glow Girls because we were the campy, over-the-top, looking like drag queens half the time with the glitter shoulder pads. So we have a huge gay audience.
And I remember
we love them.
When I first met RuPaul was at Mike's house for Halloween, and I never forgot that. And he was so just...
It was my birthday party.
It was a fun event. I'll never forget that.
Fun birthday to have RuPaul there. I love RuPaul.
She wants RuPaul.
I want RuPaul.
Uh-oh.
I want RuPaul. I want him at the show. I want you at the show.
I thought you would.
I want you there too.
I'll be there.
No, will you be there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not in drag though.
Oh, come on. All right. Well, I'll just go as ourselves.
All right. Let's talk about movies. Mike, a couple of favorite movies of yours. What got you into reviewing films?
Well, I'm wearing actually the shirt
Star
from my
Wars.
favorite movie, and though I hate those Facebook where you're supposed to list things, and I've the first time I actually answered that was the list of your 15 the 15 movies that affected you the most.
I like that.
And
Debbie,
that was
Debbie
the
sent that to me,
right.
but I liked it. I liked how it was
and
worded.
so I put things like that. Some that I've only seen once, but like a Dario Argento movie that I was really the opera that I was really affected by, and movies like independent film like Steam, which with Ruby Dee was her last movie, and it was so beautiful but so obscure and nobody knows about it. And but then some of the ones that are I think Star Wars is one of the most perfect movies because it's really a space western. It's laid out in the script form as a western, and with the good and evil characters so perfectly balanced, and so I really love that movie, and and then some of the other standards like Casablanca and stuff. But it really made me think of really obscure movies that had an effect on me.
Yeah. Corinna, when you were growing up, what was a couple movies that just got you, that made you want to write or direct or maybe even star in?
Well, the one movie that really kicked us off was Lawrence of Arabia. I saw the director's cut 4 hours on a Sunday morning in a theater, and I was just blown away what you can do with movies and with storytelling on the big screen to the audience, how you just cannot get out of your seat anymore afterwards, or you've been transported in such a different world, and the soundtrack of this movie, I mean, everything was just mind-blowing to me. And then movies like Dead Poet Society, that kind of would reinforce my wish to make movies. But when you grow up in Switzerland, no one's gonna say, oh, you want to make movies? Hey, good for you. Go for it, In Switzerland, everyone will say, you sure about that? I mean, don't you want to, study something real? And, movies like that are then really important because they actually give you the strength and they encourage you, no, you should go for it. Yeah. If this is your passion, you should go for it. And it actually really made a big impact on my decisions, on my life.
What was a movie that maybe touched you, that maybe made you cry? Do you have one?
Oh, there are many. Made me cry. Oh my God. On the top of my head. I mean, Nuovo Cinema Paradiso is one of my all-time favorites and has very tragic moments when the theater gets, torn down, or Il Postino.
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful, heartwarming movies out there. I'm not very much into slasher genre and thriller movies. That just scare me too much. I'm just too much chicken. But I really love movies that can touch me, that are heartwarming, that are inspiring, that have a message that I can apply to my own life, or things like that. That's what I'm into.
You can tell the detail that she has about working with the score, that she threw away the whole score even though she had it, because when some of her favorite movies are like Lawrence of Arabia, where the score is so
when she
important.
said that, I got it.
Your face lit up. You were like, I was like, wow.
You can tell how important music is to a movie, and that's one example where if you didn't have that great score, it'd be just the most dull movie on earth.
Roxy?
You want my favorite movie?
Absolutely.
Okay, the one that touches me most, I think, is The Terms of Endearment.
Oh, okay.
Terms of Endearment. The whole cancer, all that is just Deborah Winger, who I don't know where she's at anymore, but I love her. But my favorite movies are our older movies, like Mildred Pierce and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Betty Davis' face when she's at the camera, it's just, her face says it all. The eyes, the way and her with Joan Crawford.
And the black and white images.
Black and white, but you still get it. And then at the end, Mildred Pierce, who's the one, Joan Crawford's on the beach. Do you remember that at the end? And it was like, wow, have you seen that movie?
I'm not sure.
Oh my God.
I know the title, it rings a bell, but I'm not sure anymore.
Yeah, amazing. But Joan Crawford, who I didn't think I would like as an actress, I ended up liking. So.
Interesting. When we come back, we're going to talk about what what he wants to do, what else he's going to be actually doing, what Korinna's got coming up, because I can't wait to see what she's coming up with now. And Roxy's going to end talking about October 25th, the AfterGLOW, and the reunion of that, which would be really, really interesting. This is Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More, and we'll be right back. Okay, this is Brian Sebastian, live on Adrenaline Radio. Mike Szymanski. Roxy was just talking about kissing, and Korinna, we're talking about
Is it always
Lawrence of Arabia? I'm still stuck on Lawrence of Arabia. That's pretty good.
What about it?
Man, it was great to see on the big screen, though. Wow.
That's amazing.
Mike, so what do you want to do? What's coming up with you? What do you hope to do going from today forward?
Well, I write about movies and people in movies, and then local issues pretty regularly. You can find me on Examiner.com. Pretty much, if you Google Mike and movies and Examiner.com, I'll come up on the Google site, so you'll find me there.
And you mentioned some interesting things and stories.
In stories of...
Well, the last thing I remember reading was about your pets.
Oh, yeah. My dog. I have dachshunds, and my dachshunds were poisoned. They were somebody threw decon over the fence. It was a construction worker up the hill who we've had some disputes with, and I saw them actually throw a hamburger and then the open packet of decon, and one of them almost died, and the two others got really sick. But you go to the police and they say, well, it's not really a crime because they didn't die. If they died, we could get maybe for property
damages. That's a load of crap. It is a crime.
Wow. Well, but listen, this is what the police officer said to me. I said, what about cruelty to animals? Well, if he was kicking the dog, or if he was maybe putting a rope around his neck and strangling it. But
no.
And then the good thing about it, I guess good and bad, but this was just before, it was in June, and it was just before July 1st, decon and those kind of poisons are outlawed in California. You can't buy them anymore.
Yeah,
so because the coyotes and the hawks and anything that eats rats were also getting poisoned.
Yeah.
So it was protecting the wildlife, and essentially that's the reason why decon and a lot of those rat poisons are no longer allowed in California.
Korinna, what do you got coming up now? What are you going to be working on?
Well, I have 3 projects.
I knew you did.
Excited about all of them. But they're all in a somewhat early stage. I have 2 finished scripts, basically ready to go, and now it's I'm back in the stages of searching for investors and financing, which is always super challenging. Really, my experience with this first one is if you don't have like this one person that is really behind you and believes in you, and not even the one giving the money, but going out there and connecting with people that can afford to invest in movies, then if you don't have that person, is kind of an impossible undertaking. And I'm back in that stage where I'm looking, for that kind of support. But I have a great script with Tyler Christopher. We want to team up again, or actually we did team up again to develop the script. It's a very unique story that we have never seen on screen, but I don't want to say more. And then we optioned a script that's kind of a romantic comedy in front of the Argentine tango setting in LA.
Yeah.
Culture clash of Argentinians and Americans. And then I have a third project that I'm just part of, so I don't want to talk about that yet, but that would be something that could really make a huge difference in probably a quarter of the US's population. And I don't want to say more because I don't own the rights to it, but I'm part of it, and that's just amazing. And again, I love to make movies that have a message or that can change something for the better, or can make people aware of something that's just not the way it should be, and could be changed if only we were aware of it, and things like that. And basically with all 3 projects, we're in the stages of looking for financing.
I like the idea of the tango. I have
like
some
that too.
friends who are Argentine who told me about this subculture of tango that they do.
It's huge.
In
Never
on
heard of it.
Boulevard in downtown. It's amazing.
Yeah, I dance sometimes 5-6 nights a week, and some other weeks just 2 times a night. And in LA, you can go tango dancing every night if you want.
That's why you have those legs like that.
I do.
and the directors, Wash and Richard, who I mentioned before, who live in Silver Lake, where she lives, they did Quinceañera, which was also another subsection of the world of LA that I never heard of.
It's interesting.
It's wonderful.
It's amazing. Yeah, it really is.
Roxy.
Yes.
Coming up,
Coming
AfterGLOW.
up, the AfterGLOW fan party, October 25th. Like I said, 12 original girls at least. We're trying to bring more on board. We have the original ring guy, as we call him, Johnny C, will be emceeing the show. So that's kind of neat. So we're bringing a little bit back from the 80s and bringing it forward. So I think people will be able to connect with us back in Glow, and I think the AfterGLOW though too. So it's one night only though, one night only, and we have Janair who will be there. But I have to show you these pictures that he's been doing. Okay, this is what he's been working on. That's me.
Show
What
the
do you
camera.
think? What do you think? That is me.
I love the boots.
My cute little... and she got hers. Look at, there's yours,
cool.
Brian. Look at this. I mean, he's only done this while we're here.
He's amazing.
What do you think? And you're like,
I
where's
think it's
me?
great.
I think I see half a head over there for you. So. I see this kind of coming out there, folks.
See, and we're going to have you guys back. See, I want to actually have all you guys back. I mean, we're really booked up with stuff, which is a great thing. You know, Debbie Lynn is doing, Eliza's doing a lot of things on her end, and Annie's going to have a couple more of her clients coming in, which is great. And who knows what Mike will bring in, because he's known a lot of people for a long time, and that's great. And I definitely want to have you come back and talk about your project when you can.
Okay.
Because we need more women doing
Yeah,
things.
we do.
That's a great thing.
Well, thank you.
So, and you got to get more of your fans to come out too around the world. You know, that's important.
Yeah.
You got millions of them.
Yeah, but we're in LA, so it's one night only. So hopefully we can actually get it to where we can go other places.
It's not
so.
a one night stand. It can be
Is
more
it-
than one night.
Oh, well, it is a one night stand. It's a one night stand. It was a one night stand. No.
It can
Okay.
go on longer. And then you know, I don't know what our Halloween party or show will be like, but we're working on it. It should be quite fun. It could be spy versus spy. You know, we could have Kinnear doing something. That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to go into his history and his followings that he has when he's drawing his sketches. That would be
Right.
interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot to him I don't know about either, so.
Well, that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah.
A movie you want to see coming up?
Well, did we talk about? We didn't talk about the Liam Neeson movie.
Talk about
it. Walk Among the Tombstones,
Yeah, I
which
wanna
I
see
did
that.
see, and it is really dark. But I could watch Liam Neeson reading a phone book. I mean, you know, you say that there's certain actors you can do that with, and I think I would not be bored with him just reading a phone book because he's so in depth in whatever he does, and this takes place in a part of Brooklyn that I actually grew up in, right next to the this huge cemetery in the heart of Brooklyn, and my dad used to take us there, and they have these amazing tombstones and crypts, and a murder takes place there, and he's involved.
See, that looks, interesting.
It's
too.
very dark. It's very dark. There were people coming out of it going, "Oh, that's so dark," but you know, I loved it.
Yeah,
Very kind of noirish.
that'll be good. It'll be interesting.
What
I
about
love
the
these
Equalizer?
photos.
The Equalizer coming out. That's
You're
another-
just the Denzel Washington.
I am.
No, that's the good thing. All right, that was this show this week. For Movie Reviews and More, I'm glad Mike Szymanski came. And Korinna, thank you so much for coming and giving the woman's perspective on directing and with your project, and especially talking about Arizona. That was a really, really good story. And the train story was good too. Who knew? Debbie Lynn Elias told me to ask about that, so that's where it came from.
I thought so.
And Roxy, thanks for coming and talking about AfterGLOW and Kinnear drawing our sketches. This is Movie Reviews and More. We will see you next week. Thank you.